Graduated, elevated, now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Graduated, elevated, now it's my time to shine, yeah, let's go. Major moves, power moves.
I mean, I have to say, I did some research before we had our chat today, and I've seen that, you know, in terms of the youth, they themselves, they've taken matters into their hands. I've seen on LinkedIn, there are some groups whereby people share their number and they advertise jobs that are coming up in that region. And you have to be in that region to jump into the WhatsApp group. I tried to get in, they kicked me out. But I was just intrigued at the level of entrepreneurship when it comes to them aiding their colleagues to get a job, essentially. So that was quite interesting. I'm not sure if you've seen that as well, but I thought that was quite interesting. The fact that people can also write on little notepads and say, can you help this person to get a job? And I think the other one was people doing prayers and writing it on a pad again to say, I pray that you get a job this week. So it's
especially on robots. Hi guys, I've got a master's degree in this. I'm qualified in this. Please help me get a job. Because at the end of the day, it's not a sign of that person being shallow-minded. That person is being creative. You understand? But how many people are creative in that way? How many people are creative in that way? That's what we need to teach the young people. There's so many opportunities everywhere around the world, but young people are not creative enough. If you wait at a robot, you're gonna meet a CEO, a manager, recruitment, what you name it. You and me, we're gonna pass that robot. We're gonna take a photo or take a picture, we post it, we call the person, come interview. They've got a job, but how many people are that creative? That is the biggest question.
Yeah. But then it goes back to the question which I was asking in terms of culture, because we as individuals, we already have pride. And I guess going back to self-awareness, which you've mentioned in your abstract, the question is, are you going to tap into that in terms of taking away the pride from young people and saying, do you know what, it's okay. Just go out there and do what you need to do to pay the bills. Is that the stance? Is that something that you're thinking of working on? Or are you already working on it? Or is it in your thesis? I don't know.
But Norma, this is not pride. You know, when you have goals and you've set
Right.
your goals and they have deadlines, and you see yourself in the next 2 years, 6 months, 10 years, 20, 15. Of course, there are variables. I can't control COVID. I can't control an earthquake. There's nothing I can do about it, or economical crisis. But if you're certain, any door, any rule that says you can't get it this way, you're going to get it. But now you want it so soft that when you're sitting on your couch, you think a job is going to say, hi, Norma, there is a job, or a business or a contract is going to come to you. It's not going to work it that way. You have to put in the work for you to get the results. That is the law of the universe. I can't change it. It was created by God, not me. You understand? And a lot of people are not willing to put in. So once you are self-aware or understanding who you are, what you want, and how you can get it, you find out you end up doing things. A lot of people are going to ask you, how did you do that? And how did you get it? You understand? People knock on CEO's doors. Papa, I'm just here. I want to see you. I want to talk to you. This is who I am. But how many people have those guts? That's not pride. That's guts. When you have guts and when you have goals and you have things that you think this is the right way to go, you end up doing things that yourself, after a few years, you ask, how did I cross that bridge? Because you were determined and you know what you wanted to do in life. And a lot of people don't know that. And that's where self-awareness comes into play.
But then don't you think we have a duty, like, to educate and say, do you know what? it's okay to take a leap of faith and like go out there and knock on those doors, even if they're closed. Just keep knocking and getting the no's. It's a part of the process. Because I'm just thinking of the vulnerable group that I mentioned to you, whereby the grandparents, all they know is farming. And then you've got teachers as well who had to get out of farming, and teaching was the next best thing. So I'm just thinking of that group to say, do you know what? Sometimes you just don't know how to have that energy within you to say, get up, get dressed, go and stand by the traffic lights and raise it up. And, do you get what I mean? It takes a lot. It's easy to say it, but to do, it's when you know that I've got nothing to lose because I don't have anything. And this is the next best thing that I've got. And you go and do it.
We see the world in different lenses, and I totally understand your perspective and where you're coming from. In my world, I believe if you set your mind to do a certain thing, the way it's going to come. That's number one. Do you know what is the problem with the communities that we come from? There's already a mental blockage. I can't do this. It's already there. I did not think about it. No one told me about it. It's already there. I can't do this. Do you understand? And that's the difference between us and them. And then they believe in themselves. They can say, I can walk up to anyone and tell them my story. Sometimes, most jobs, they're not given because you applied. It's because how you engage with a certain person. And that person thought you had values. And there's going to be a time, Norma, that a degree will not matter to get a job. It's coming. And I'm sure you can see it. It's the mindset that will get you a job. There's going to be, and it's coming. It's been written, it's been predicted, and I can see it from career psychology perspective. Because a lot of people think if I have a degree, I've got a ticket to poverty. Then they neglect three important things, which is social acquaintance, which is social adversity. They neglect EQ, emotional acquaintance, and they neglect adverse acquaintance. They think IQ is going to make me a better person or make me elevate more than anyone because I know how to come up with an answer of 1 + 1. You understand? But you don't know how to relate with people. You don't know how to understand with people. You don't know how to interact with people. You don't know how to pursue a goal and make it an achievement. Those three things are the ones that are lacking in a lot of graduates. That's where self-awareness comes into play.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but then I'm going to move on to your NGO with those three things. Is that something that you're pushing through your NGO? Because I know that there are people who are sat at home, like you said, reclining on their chairs and waiting for a job to come and knock on their door because they've got a degree, right? Essentially. And some people just don't have it in them, in terms of hustle or grind, to put it that way. Is that something that you've taken on to say, I want to educate the wider community to say, you need these three traits in order for you to move from step 1 to step 2, essentially?
To some extent, but I will not say 100%. My main goal of the NGO that I founded with my team is we want to raise career awareness and education. Then it filters down to these three things. Because once you're aware of your environment, once you're aware of who I am and the things that I can give to the environment, you're capable of making a choice that is going to give you the drive. We call it internal fuel or internal drive. You don't need anyone else to motivate you. You motivate yourself. That is the main goal. And at the end, we're trying to curb youth unemployment. How we do that? If we give you career education and awareness, You are aware where to get the job. You are aware where to get the funding. You're aware which university relates to what I want to do. You're also aware that I can also open my own business. That is the main goal of the NGO. And yes, it does filter with EQ, SQ, and AQ. Because once you are aware of yourself, your AQ increases, your EQ increases because you need networks. Your network is your net worth. Your SQ increases. You need to remember business are not buildings, they are people. You need to relate with people. So it filters to that, but those are our top priorities, which is career education, career awareness.
Okay, so I've got a question from that. Am I in your network then?
Sorry?
Am I in your network?
You are now my network because if I didn't reach out to you, you are not going to be part of my network, but you are now.
Okay, so what is our network then?
I think one thing, like I told you the other time before the interview, which I'll raise up, I like the awareness that you're bringing to PhD students or upcoming PhD researchers or graduates in PhD. It's not about the title. It's about what you do with what you have researched and what you can bring in the economy or in the community and make it change or different into. And this network that you have created, it raises awareness not to me, which actually did, because if I didn't, I was not going to reach out to other people that are going to come and say, listen, there is Noma, ask questions about your PhD. Do you know, by asking these questions, you're also making refining me, my PhD, and think, is this the right way to go about it? Should I change it? You know what I mean? So it brings or makes your PhD finer or impact a certain community because this is awareness to some extent. And if you want to become a researcher, don't do it for the title. Do it that you want to make a change. Change is done in different ways: humanities, chemistry, biology, physics, you name it. So that is why I decided to reach out to you.
Thank you. And going back to something that you've mentioned on numerous occasions in regards to your NGO, can you state the name and also in terms of career awareness, what does that mean for your NGO and also your PhD thesis?
Okay, so the name of my PhD, sorry, my NGO is called Future Pathways Consultants, right? I'm the founder, but I have directors as well because we're three of us now. Um, the whole point with my directors and my team, also have a team, was we are passionate about youth development. I think I've mentioned this. And one gap that we all saw is the education system is not doing enough to help young people to understand that, listen, there's life after high school. We're not even going to tertiary. There's also life after tertiary. And there's also life after work. We're not going there. But we want to plant the seed at a younger age to say, listen, you need to prepare yourself. Because if you don't prepare yourself, you're going to end up this way. If you prepare yourself, this is what is going to happen. So that's where me and my team kind of saw the gap and opened the NGO. Then that NGO filtered in my PhD because in my mind, I'm thinking, yes, we might do good work, but this good work must be recognized academically. People need to know. Because I'm going to send this, I don't know, to the Minister of Education, yeah, he or she's going to read it. That's why we want to keep on raising the awareness, right? And I'm so glad that the supervisors that I have, they're gurus in career development or career psychology. They've been writing articles. They've got their own NGOs. They've got their. So I'm learning a lot from them, and I'm gonna be part of that circle that keeps on raising that awareness to whoever that needs to know, so that they can improve themselves.
Oh, thank you. So, in terms of career awareness, then, what does it mean for your thesis?
Okay.
Yeah, just a simple syntax, just simple, so that people at home who are watching, because I think as academics, we get in the habit of giving a well-rounded answer, but sometimes we have to answer the question with this so that a 6-year-old at home can
Yeah,
understand what
yeah.
we mean.
I think career awareness is understanding yourself. That is career awareness. Because I think that is the first quote that I will use. Knowing yourself, understanding yourself, identifying your skills, identifying your personality, your abilities. Then I'll extend to that. Once you have known yourself,
Mhm.
you tend to attract or get closer to things that add value to yourself.
Mhm. I like that.
So knowing yourself is very important
Mhm.
because you don't spend time with the wrong people, spend time with the right people. Because you've known that these are the people that I want to follow or I want to be.
Yeah.
You understand? So awareness, career awareness, because if you think about it, we spend 80% of our life doing a particular job, profession, work, and we learn in that spectrum, right? So once you understand this is what I want, you start to connect with people that do what you're interested in. And by connecting to them, you learn a lot. You gather information that you never thought, or by that time you think you know everything. Like me, maybe I think I know everything. But my professors are telling me, hey, you don't know much. So you understand what I mean? So you
Yeah.
you get involved with people who do things that you do. And by doing that, you learn a lot about yourself more and the things that you want to be. I think, yeah, I hope I've simplified it for the viewers and yourself as well.
Thank you very much. I think the next question is in regards to the sample size then, which you touched on before, and also in terms of your methodology. So what are your choices and what's the number that you're looking at in terms of your sample?
This is a very good question. I was asked about it when I was presenting my thesis. It's something that I'm debating with myself. Please don't crucify me or the
Oh,
viewers,
never.
right? So at one point, I wanted to do a one group quasi experimental. Then I thought, no, it's gonna question a lot about my internal validity of the data because I did not do a difference or a experiment group and a non-experiment group. Then, of course, with professors, they talk you into it, they get you to understand, you get to understand, and I understood.
Mhm.
But now I'm going to do a intervention group and non-intervention group. But now I want to do what they call cross-sectional. So I wanted to target with what is it? Disadvantaged groups. But now I'm also going to go disadvantaged, middle class schools. So disadvantaged schools, middle class schools, and private schools, so that I can do a comparison. Is it a national thing or is it sitting on the disadvantage, etc.? So my sample size is 250 students. So I'm going to divide them per school. So in 6 schools, maybe I'll go 2 public, 2 middle class, which is Model C in South Africa, then 2 private. Then I gather information, I see what they're doing, then I do a cross-sectional analysis in terms of compare and contrast and see what is their career maturity. How can I compare with this? What is this is lacking? And what is that we can add to these guys to be there, etc. Then I think in that way we have like a more informed decision in terms of results. But like I said, it's something that I'm still debating about with myself. I think that makes sense to me, but we'll still see how it goes.
I think that's a really and I use the word interesting in layman terms, not academic terms. I think that's quite interesting. the fact that you're debating, and it shows that you're a logical thinker because you're looking at different options, and that's usually a good skill in research, as you know. I guess the question that I have then, since you're debating, have you started debating about the measurements, the measurement tools that you will employ for your research as well?
Yeah. So my research is planned, Noma. I kind of know where I will be at this particular time. If God willing, I want to finish this in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
My PhD in 2 years, yeah. Because I've got everything planned. I've been writing this thing for 3 years now, when I was sitting at home, etc. So research tools. So it's going to be a pre-test and a post-test. Remember, we are doing a compare and contrast, and we're also going to see if the interventions are going to improve the maturity of the grade 12 learners. So pre-test is testing these students, 250 students from different class of schools. What is their maturity? So in terms of the CDQ, which is Career Development Questionnaire, it says anything below 13 is a low career maturity. Anything above 13 to 20, high career maturity. So then I do a pre-test. I see, okay, this is where they belong. Then I do my intervention, right? Then I also have a control group that I will not do the intervention, but I've tested them. Then after the intervention, I want to do it over a year, but I've minimized it because of engaging and listening to other PhD students and all that, like also engaging with you. Then I said, look, let me do it for 5 months or 4 months, right? After that intervention, then I do a post-test. So this person was a 12, now is a 17. Or this person was a 17, but now they're 12. What is it that has changed? Was the intervention not working? Did the intervention work? How can we make the intervention improve? That will be my next problem after the PhD. So that's how we are going to test if the interventions are important in schools and are they enhancing career maturity of the learners.
That is quite detailed. And I wish you the best of luck with that process. And I guess moving on from all of that, I've got some questions that have come in on the internet that I would love for you to just get into and share your opinion. I guess the first question is, should PhD students be judged by the number of journal articles that they publish successfully? Or do you think actually, if you've done your PhD, that's it, you're done? We don't need you to write anything. You should be able to go and apply for a job because you've gone through the process and essentially you've been on a little tricycle during your PhD, so you are qualified. What are your thoughts?
I think it depends with the person goals. So if you want to be in academia, you do need to publish journals. But if you want to go corporate and NGO, there's no need because the title stands for you. You've done the hard work, etc. But what I can say to this person, when you do your PhD, there's always going to be topics that are going to keep on, like, question every single time you get some questions in your mind. What about if I write this journal because it develops from this, because I didn't finish this story well, I want to add more on that. So it depends where you want to be. In academia, you're forced to write journals because they're not going to take you if you can't publish. Then in the corporate, in the NGO and the education sector, which is more of not in academia and universities, maybe schools, your title always stands for you. So it ends up to what is it that you research and what are the popping questions, because there are going to be limitations on your studies and you want to rectify them. That's where the journaling and the writing of journals comes into play.
Thank you. The next question is, how do you cope with a difficult supervisor during your PhD? I know your supervisors are amazing and they're gurus in NGOs. So what's your advice
Uh,
to somebody there?
it's not my experience. I haven't experienced this, but this is my advice. What I learned during my PhD orientation. Having a MOU with a supervisor is very important because you kind of highlight the objectives, what you guys working on. You kind of highlight the goals of the why you are in this relationship, and also you kind of explain the relationship, why we are in this relationship, because it helps you to kind of understand why we're doing this. But if you don't have that, for example, if you don't know the supervisor very well, it might be a problem. You understand? So establishing that MOU or that contract with the supervisor is very important because the supervisor will not derail from that contract and you will not also derail. So it keeps you in that space of making sure you're doing what is required from the supervisor and from the student as well.
Thank you very much. And I think you touched on this, but I will ask the question. In your opinion, do you think that getting a PhD breaks the poverty cycle, or do you think actually it's just another degree that's just set there and there's no added value? What's your take on that?
You are right, I touched on this, but I'll repeat it. When you do your PhD, I'm a newbie in this field. Not to say those that have PhDs, I kind of disrespect them. I respect all doctors. Understand the topic that you want to do and the end goal, right? Don't do a PhD because of a title. Because if you do it because of a title, you are going to be frustrated because maybe your PhD does not add any impact or any volume to a particular field or industry. You understand? But if you do it because you're passionate about it, I think it all streams down to interest. What makes a lot of PhD students finish their PhDs on time is they're passionate and interested about the field that they're researching. And with passion comes opportunities. So do a PhD on a topic that you're interested in. And once you're interested in the PhD topic, you will never work a single day in your life. That's Steve Jobs' statement, because you know exactly why you're working up. Do you know it's sometimes it's a lonely world doing a PhD, because yes, you've got the funding and the money in your pocket, but the motivation to work up is very difficult. You understand? So, but when you're interested with the topic, the motivation to wake up is very high because you know what you're researching, you know what you're trying to understand or close the gap on, and you know what the academic world want to know about. So, understand the topic and be involved with the topic. That's my advice.
Thank you. And in terms of equality and diversity, we know that it's a global trend to say women don't get paid the same amount as men, and also in terms of treatment within academia. I think you've seen on Twitter and other platforms whereby women in STEM is such a movement because of how people have been treated, essentially. What's your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, there is a glass ceiling in terms of women going up. They tend to see up, and it's all males, and I understand that. But let that not, if you're female, stop you to achieve your goals. Because there are females that are doing it big in the education industry, if you want to be in the education industry. And this, it all goes back to yourself. Do you know your story? Once you know your story, no one is going to shut you down or keep you quiet. But if you don't know your story, you're going to find people who are going to stop you talking. So know your story, stick to your story, and make that story loud. If you're a female, even a male, it's a two-way street. It's not very big. Make the story loud, because remember, people are always noticing, and they'll give you the rewards of what you've been doing.
Wow. You'll be glad to know that this is the last question. So in terms of the last question, in your opinion, do you think PhD hard talk is benefiting universities and researchers alike, or do you think, do you know what, Norma, call it a day? This is not working. It's done.
Quite an controversial question. Yes, PhDs are benefiting, or candidates are benefiting universities. In South Africa, I think if you do your PhD, please, this is not the exact amount. I'm just thinking. A university gets close to 250K rands. I don't know how much is that in pounds, but that's a lot of money. Might be less than the funding that I'm getting, if I complete my PhD. So yes, universities are benefiting because it's a business at the end of the day. And also PhD students are benefiting because the university that you do your PhD can also elevate you, and the topic that you do on your PhD and the supervisors that you have on your PhD can give you that career boost that you were lacking in your life, and you can be something else. You can change the entire life of, actually, you can change your whole journey of career and your family because you know the right people, you know that you're at the right institution, your topic was right, and that can make a change in your life.
Okay. Well, to close our discussion off, it comes back to PhD hard talk, right? You've come on this platform. Do you think, in your opinion, it is beneficial for us as researchers and also for the institutions and the different conferences that we go to? Obviously, this is verbal, we're having a dialogue, or do you think it's not working?
I think it's beneficial because we need to share ideas. The other day, I was in a conference actually in Birmingham. They were talking about employee. I'm talking about my field, not your field, my field.
My field.
Sorry?
What is my field?
What is your field? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I was talking about it seems like in my field,
Yeah.
it's a pandemic to have young people finishing school and not sure about what they're doing. Everybody has a headache. What do we do? What is the way forward? But remember, where do people look for ideas? It's research.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is very important. What PhD Talk is doing is very important because we're sharing this different ideas from different countries, different topics, different themes, and all brings to raising awareness about what is it that you're researching, what is the gap, and how can we exploit it. I might have the answers, not to say PhD students have answers. I might. It's a hypothesis. I might have the answers. I might get a call from Birmingham to come to Birmingham and say, listen, we realize you did these interventions. Can you do the same interventions here? Or vice versa. That's the whole point about research, is sharing ideas and making sure that the network is neat so that we bring the better world that we want. Because why we're researching, we want to change things.
I think this has been an insightful discussion, and thank you so much for sharing your kind words of wisdom in regards to self-awareness, and also in terms of your NGO and the work that you're doing. It is valid in the community and it is beneficial because, like you said, 75% of the youth is unemployed, and that's a staggering number, really, and it's quite shocking to hear such a high number. However, I'd like to say thank you so much for educating us today. And if you do want to get in contact with Dean, all his details that at the bottom. And also remember hashtag Project Dissemination to the World and hashtag Sustainable Knowledge to the World. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and hopefully be a guest if you want to
Yes,
discuss
I
your
will.
research.
I will be. I will be.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
Dean,
This
for
was
your
very
time.
nice. I really enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, all the best with other PhD students that are going to come on board.